Our guest tonight never takes a backward step. He's one of the hardest, toughest footballers to pull on the red and blue Guernsey. Prior to this year, he'd only amassed 35 games in 5 years and only 7 in the last 3. Fingers crossed he's put all that behind him, playing 7 and counting of our 12 games in this bizarre 2020 season. Welcome to the Demonland podcast, Aaron vandenBerg.
Thank you for having me.
Aaron,
fine introduction.
Aaron, you didn't take the usual route into the system, being drafted as a mature age rookie in 2015 from Ainsley in the Neefle. Did you ever think that your AFL dream was over after being overlooked until your early 20s?
Oh, definitely, without a doubt. I didn't have what it took to be an AFL footballer at the age of 18. Growing up on this, far south coast of New South Wales, footy is the furthest priority from a lot of people's minds. Yeah. And thankfully, I got a great opportunity to go up and play at Ainsley, and that definitely led me into the direction of what a professional footballer should do. And I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Your history with injuries is well documented, and I've done a deep dive on this, so bear with me here, Aaron. We're taking a painful trip down memory lane.
Yeah,
before arriving at the D's, you'd had a shoulder reconstruction. In 2015, you then played about 10 games before sustaining a hamstring injury. You got back into the side and suffered a season-ending ankle injury, which you then carried into the 2016 pre-season. You played a couple of games and then aggravated that ankle injury. Once you recovered from it, I believe you only missed one more game for the season with a hip complaint. So you'd played 28 games in your first 2 years. So far, so good. 2017, however, saw you pull up sore in one of your heels in a pre-season game. That soreness turned from a few weeks on the sidelines to missing the entire season. So all in all, you missed about 18 months of footy with that heel injury before rejoining the team and becoming an integral part of breaking that 12-year finals drought. So 2019 rolls around and you again pull up sore after a pre-season game with a foot injury related to the other stints on the sideline, and once again you miss the entire season. So all of our listeners would have seen your segment in the club's To Hell and Back series documenting your rehab and eventual return to training, and obviously subsequently getting back into the team this year. With all that documented, were you ever close to giving the game away during any of those periods, and what toll, if any, does it take on your mental health?
Yeah, look, it's been really tough. I mean, ever since the end of my first year, really, I've been dealing with what's been a pretty horrific, foot and ankle injury. And even 2016, for that matter, I think I was lucky enough to get 14 games in, but they were 14 really hampered games. And it's hard enough to play AFL footy as it is, let alone, at 50, 60% of what you normally like. And I think probably early in my career, that's what weighed on me more. It wasn't the fact that I was missing a few games here and there. It was probably that I was running out there with a really bad foot. I couldn't calf raise. I couldn't do a whole host of training. I was barely getting through the week. And then to go out and try to perform at an elite level with some pretty talented individuals, it becomes pretty tough. And that certainly plays on your mind. And then, missing all of 2017 was obviously extremely difficult. And then you get some hope with 2018 and you come back and you play some good football in a good team and make a run for finals, and then that sort of reinvigorates your passion for football again. And I think if it wasn't for the fact that I played some of those games in 2018 in such a good team, I definitely would have considered, hanging up the boots and unfortunately just accepting the fact that my foot mightn't have been able to get through an AFL career. But to then go on and miss all of 2019, although it was a horrific year for the football club generally in terms of performance, that wasn't a whole lot better. And thankfully I've done a lot of off-field work with a ballet physio named 𝗟𝗶𝘀𝘁𝗲, and she's been fantastic, and so has the medical team and the coaching staff and the high performance team for that matter, in relation to guiding me through this pre-season and keeping me on a pretty monitored schedule. And thankfully I'm playing some football off the back of that, and I really hope that it starts to lead into some form and some continuity over the coming years.
2020 hasn't seen you out of the medical room either. You know, we held our breath when we learned that you had suffered a collision injury to that problematic foot again in the pre-season, where you subsequently missed the opening and almost the only game for 2020. I suppose that the imposed break during the first wave of COVID allowed you that time to recuperate and get back onto the park?
Yeah, that was just a really unlucky injury. I mean, I stupidly ran into a fence in the pre-season trying to recover a ball and hurt my big toe. So I was leading into the start of the season pretty sore. But then, unfortunately, I kicked that guy against Hawthorn and just fractured my fifth metatarsal, which was completely unrelated. And, yeah, unfortunately, a little bit of a setback. And then COVID hit. I didn't miss any games because of it. Well, barely any anyway. The only thing was just not being able to do much in quarantine kind of sucked. But apart from that, I was pretty lucky. And, you know, the fact that I'd pretty much run all of 2019 on the sidelines and then had a good pre-season made, you know, my return a lot easier and quicker this year.
And as if 2020 wasn't already bad enough, you fractured your cheekbone in the Hawthorn game.
Yeah.
It's like a horror story, Aaron. You missed 2 weeks after surgery. And did you also cop a knock to your eye socket in the Adelaide game?
Yeah, I fractured. I had 4 facial fractures in that Hawthorn game and played it out. And I didn't feel it, you know, overly aggressively throughout the game, but we went and scanned it and it was in quite a bad spot. And if I was to get it hit again, I could have caused some permanent eye damage. So I wasn't allowed to play. And I went and got 2 plates put in my face. And the earliest they told me was, you know, I could play in 14 days, which happened to be the Adelaide game. And then, you know, we were praying nothing happened. And then it was like the first 10 minutes of the game and I've run straight into someone with that same side. And that led to 15 stitches just over where I had one of the plates. And thank God it didn't do anything further to the plates because that would have been a disaster. I just had to run around with a sore head for the rest of the game.
Well, none of that seems to have stopped you from taking a backward step. You were involved in 2 collisions this past week. There was the collision with 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗁𝗏, and then you got cleaned up by the weed and 𝗙𝗶𝗀𝗀𝘁. Your body has taken a battering this year. You clearly had eyes for the ball in the 𝗦cie incident. How do you get your mind back in the game after being involved in an incident like that and seeing an opponent get stretchered off?
Yeah, that was horrible. And thankfully, he's actually in the hub we're in and he's been walking around and he's safe and he's healthy. So that was fantastic news. You don't ever want to see that regardless of how tough you want to play the game. But, yeah, I guess, you know, you put yourself in the hole, unfortunately have that terrible collision, and then you really just got to get on to the next thing and think about, you know, what's happening and the next stoppage. And thankfully I was able to switch my mind back into football. But then big weeds came and he killed me on the bench. And that hurt me a lot more than the 𝗦cie collision did. So
it looked pretty
I still haven't forgiven him for that. I'm not talking to him at the moment. But 𝗟𝗏𝗀𝘁𝗏 swears it was my ball, so I'll listen to Bailey.
Yeah, when I saw it, it was your ball. Usually they've got to call you back. That's what I was taught in juniors.
Yeah, exactly.
Darren Burgess has obviously been a big asset to the club and the team in terms of our fitness and ability to run out games. How has he shaped your preparation for games and keeping you fit and on the park?
Yeah, I can't discount the help that Phil Merriman's given me either. He's working in tandem with Darren. And the 2 of them have been really good in terms of, you know, I only train once a week and then I try to do my top-up stuff through, you know, bikes and other forms of fitness because the foot at the moment just can't maintain the sort of training schedule that the other boys do. And they've been really transparent with me. They're really looking after me. You know, at the end of games, if we're fortunate to be in front, I'm getting rested so that I'm not getting any extra Ks into my legs, into my foot. And, you know, I can't thank them enough for the way they've treated me through this time. And then I'm hoping that, you know, if I can get through this year unscathed, that's just going to lead into a good, well-balanced pre-season and hopefully a 2021 season too. But they've been great. And I'm very thankful that they're both leading me in the right direction along with the medical team.
Your hardness and ability to get the contested ball and your ferocious chase down tackles have earned you a bit of a cult following amongst the fans.
That's nice.
A lot of that was cemented in your comeback games in 2018 in the lead up and through the finals of that year. How was that experience of playing finals footy at the G to overwhelmingly Demon-dominated crowds?
Oh, it was immense. It was funny enough, we were literally just talking about it 20 minutes ago in the physio room about your favourite footballing moment. I think mine was in 2018 at that three-quarter time break when the siren went and we were about to walk back out onto the park and the crowd was just going nuts. And I think there must have been nearly 70,000 of the 100,000 people in Demons colours, and it's a memory that I'll never forget, and I'm going to try extremely hard, as I know the rest of the team will, to get that moment back again. Yeah. Because once you get a taste for that, you want it again, and bringing the joy to the fans and what it meant to them was immense, and you'd hope that we can do that in the coming years.
2020 has certainly been a different beast altogether, going from playing in front of 85,000 people to playing in front of an empty stadium must have been surreal. Can you describe to us fans who could only witness it on TV what that sort of felt like when you compare it to what you're running out after three-quarter time in a final?
Yeah, it's a different one. You're certainly trying to find your own motivation because you don't have the crowd behind you. You definitely don't feel the confidence swings in games that crowds can bring. When you kick a quick couple and you've got the crowd on your side, that often can be enough to spur you on to put a team away. But I think, you're definitely trying to generate your own energy out there, and it's a very training-like feeling sometimes when you're screaming on the ground and you can hear your own voice echoing through the stadium. Which doesn't usually happen. But, fortunately, we've up here in Queensland, we've been having sort of 5,000 and 6,000 people crowds, and that's actually enough to create a little bit of atmosphere. Yeah. So it's nice for those who get to come along. But, unfortunately, it's not going to be, I can't imagine anything's going to change in 2020, and we're going to have to keep continuing to try and generate a bit of energy and a bit of confidence in ourselves.
How have you been enjoying the hub life? That also must be a unique experience for the players as individuals and as a team, having to have regular COVID tests, your temperature taken daily, spending every waking moment with your teammates, breakfast, lunch, dinner. It's certainly got to be a different experience than what you used to back in Melbourne.
Yeah, very, very different. It's got a very pre-season camp feel to it, where you're just constantly with one another. But maybe the first couple of weeks we were probably in each other's pockets a little bit too much, and then as the hub life has gone on, we've worked out ways to sort of generate a bit of free time for ourselves, which has been probably needed. But it's been really good, and honestly, you can't complain when you see what's going down in Victoria at the moment. We probably were a little bit averse to going to a hub at first, but then when you see people getting quite sick and Melbourne going into stage 4 restrictions, it certainly sinks in that you've got it pretty good up here. So make the best of it while we can and try and get the results that we need and come home with wins.
I know that some of the players have family with them, their partners and kids, but I imagine that a lot of the younger players and they don't, and you don't need to go into specifics of your own situation, but I imagine it's tough for those who are sort of away from their loved ones at this time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, thankfully, there's a lot of people who have been able to get their kids and their wives up. I don't have a wife or kids, so I can't really speak on their behalf. But I know that there was a lot initially that didn't have them up here at the start, and they were definitely doing it tough. And as it's gone on and more people have quarantined and come up, you're just seeing the joy that the families bring to those people. So it's great to have them up and around now. And then, as for a few of us that have got partners and whatnot down in Melbourne, I'm sure that it's difficult, but again, it's one of those ones you've got to sacrifice and do it for the right reasons, and then hopefully we get to enjoy what's a good season and do that with family when we get back.
Absolutely. The compressed season, playing off 4 or 5 day breaks, consistently travelling to other states, the long bus rides to and from the hub, the airport, and the ground. It's certainly a unique situation. How have the footy department and the team prepared for this, and how are you and your body handling it?
It's been very bizarre. I don't think there's been one game yet that's had the same preparation. So we're constantly trying to adjust on the fly and try to improve every week. Now we're starting to go to places the night before and stay in a hotel, or actually get to a hotel 4 or 5 hours before a game and try to make the first few hours leading into the game normal. And that seems to be working really well for us. And then as for the 4 and 5 day breaks, I don't even train during the week, so I can't see how it must be for some of the other boys that have to get up and run. But thankfully, I'm not doing a lot, and then just going game to game really, and hoping that we get fresh and get a result.
The boys who haven't cracked it into the seniors yet, they're playing in truly bizarre matches in order to stay fit and get some type of match simulation in. We've seen 12 on 12, 16 on 16. We've seen amalgamated teams of up to 3 different sides playing. You played in a 14 on 14 match in round 2 against Carlton. What was that experience like as opposed to the regular 𝗚cie games?
Lots of running. There's a lot of space, I can tell you that. Playing the 14 on 14 was actually quite a lot of fun. We had a very good team in that day, and there was just a paddock of space. So it was just uncontested possession after uncontested possession, something I'm not really accustomed to. So I was enjoying my time right there. The guys have been absolutely fantastic. The young boys and the people that are unfortunate, to miss out on the AFL team have been going back, and the attitude's been tremendous, and so has every other club for that matter, adapting to it and pulling on a different team's Guernsey and playing with one another. And I think it's just, we're all walking around a hub together, we're all playing, strange second games together. It's just kind of everyone's smiling and, a bit quirky at what the hell's going on, but we're all getting through and doing a very good job of it.
Who's your smoky to be the next in line to crack it into the team?
Oh, that's a good question. I really want to see Josh Wagner get a game. I think he's a fantastic player, and he brings a real toughness and one-on-one defence to us down back, and I'm hoping that he'll be, able to crack a game. And I'm trying to think who mightn't have had, and JJ is probably the other one. He hasn't played a game yet, and he's been doing a lot right. And you never know what will happen with these 4 and 5 day breaks. Unfortunately, injuries come, but also players might get rested. If he's fortunate enough to get a game, I think he'll do a fantastic job. So it'd be really great for him to get a game in.
Yeah, a lot of the fans have sort of earmarked him as being one of the next ones they want to see. Aaron, before I let you go, there's been a lot said about this unprecedented year. There were doubts that we'd even be playing any footy, and there's been those who want to label this year and whoever wins it with an asterisk. I heard Tommy Mack interviewed earlier in the year strongly disagreeing with this, stating, and I paraphrase here, that given what you guys have gone through to get through the year, that it just will make it all the more tougher and rewarding to win it. Is that your feeling too?
Definitely. I will not lie that when I first thought about this year and what might become of it, I thought, is the integrity of the game there? But given all the games are the same length, everyone's in very similar conditions, this has never been tougher. That's without a shadow of a doubt. And I think that whatever team's lucky enough to get through the season and win this premiership certainly won't be looking at it like an asterisk. I know I certainly won't. This has been bloody hard, and if we're to win, I'll be, ecstatic.
We will be too. Thank you, Aaron, for your time today. I really appreciate you having a chat with us, and we're right in the mix to take our shot at finals, and hopefully we can all be celebrating from home, watching you guys hold up the cup in that one day in October.
Let's hope so. I'd love for that to happen. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Aaron.